Before I talk about what client-side routing is and why we need it, I want to briefly discuss server-side routing just as a point of comparison. It's really just the process of a server using a URL to locate some resource and returning it to the client. The URL specifies the route. Routes are basically locations. Prior to the explosion of JavaScript libraries and frameworks, most web applications were executed almost entirely on servers. A client would request a web page or other resource from the server using a URL, and the server retrieves the resource and sends it back to the client. Often this meant that an entire web page would be sent back to the browser after each request to the server. Client-side routing doesn't replace server-side routing. All web applications still interact heavily with servers, and those servers still need to accept a URL and use it to locate and return the resource needed by the client. However, when using a client-side framework like Angular, the requests to the server are often for smaller bits of information rather than entire web pages and all of their related resources. Let's now contrast server-side routing with SPAs and client-side routing. SPA stands for Single Page Application. The idea behind a single page application is that it appears to the user as if it's one page in the browser and you only update portions of that page as the user interacts with the application. You don't get full page reloads, as is common when relying exclusively on server-side technologies. Single page applications need client-side routing as a means of referring to different locations within the SPA. In our case, it will mean referring to different locations within an Angular application. Let's assume this is the home screen of our new single-page Angular app. We've got a title at the top, a few links down the left side, and some content in the middle. When the user takes some action, like clicking the first link on the left, the application navigates them to a new client-side route and loads information related to that route into a portion of the page. When they click a second link, they may be taken to a new route which loads different information into the same part of the page. These route transitions will often retrieve resources from a server. That could include partial HTML files, JSON data, images, or anything else you might normally request from a server. So using client-side routing does not mean that there is no interaction with the server or that the server isn't also locating and returning resources based on its own routes. It just means that the whole page in the browser is no longer being reloaded with every server interaction, and that the client application needs a way to find and refer to various locations within the app.